Here's the brief. News from the world over this week. Hobby Lobby and Conestoga Wood Specialties weren't the only winners at the Supreme Court this week. Several Catholic-owned companies won their fight against the HHS contraceptive mandate at the center of the health care law on Tuesday. The Supreme Court confirmed its Monday decision that certain companies cannot be compelled to comply with the contraceptive mandate. The High Court applied the ruling to all 20 government-mandated contraceptives of Obamacare, not just those abortifacients considered in the Hobby Lobby case. Colorado-based Hercules Industries, Illinois-based Court Contractors, and Indiana's Grote Industries are among the victors. The justices did not address leaving in place lower court rulings that favored the businesses. They did, however, order the lower courts that ruled in favor of the Obama administration to reconsider those decisions. There were about 50 similar pending lawsuits across the country at the time of Monday's landmark decision. On the not-for-profit front, EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, received an 11th-hour injunction from the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in its lawsuit against the mandate. Hours after the Hobby Lobby decision, the Atlanta-based court gave EWTN temporary relief from fines of more than $1 million a month, while their appeal proceeds. The fines were set to begin accruing on July 1st. More on the Hobby Lobby decision, what it means for religious liberty, and whether nonprofits like EWTN will benefit from the decision in our next segment. Meanwhile, President Barack Obama announced this week that he will go it alone on immigration reform, using executive orders to overhaul the system. Meanwhile, the U.S. bishops are urging Congress to vote on comprehensive reform. This past week, Cardinal Timothy Dolan appeared alongside Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer. The New York senator renewed his call for a vote on Senate legislation that's languished in the House for more than a year. Cardinal Dolan said during the press conference, quote, "We have a solid piece of legislation and people are running out of patience. We've got to get this going and do it now." The bill would permit a path to citizenship for several million people who entered the U.S. illegally. The Senate bill includes some border security measures. Meanwhile, as the crisis along the U.S.-Mexican border worsens, the president and Republicans continue to blame each other. The death of a Guatemalan boy has become symbolic of the perils faced by the flood of unaccompanied children who are crossing illegally into the U.S. According to his grieving parents, Gilberto Francisco Ramos Juarez, whose body was found in the Texas desert, wanted to leave his small mountain village in Guatemala to earn money in the U.S. to treat his mother's epilepsy. In a tearful interview with the Associated Press, his mother said she begged her 15-year-old son not to go. But when he insisted, she draped her boy with a white rosary for safe passage. The family paid smugglers $5,000 for his journey. And the militant group that has overrun much of Iraq and Syria has unilaterally declared the establishment of a caliphate or Islamic State. In a 19-minute audio message released Tuesday, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi declared the territory his fighters have carved out in the heart of the Middle East a haven for Islamic militants. He presented himself as the leader of worldwide Islam and urged Muslims everywhere to rise up against oppression and join him. Al-Baghdadi said, "Syria is not for the Syrians and Iraq is not for the Iraqis. The earth is Allah's." Meanwhile, Iraqi forces now appear to be holding the line against any further ISIS advancement, though Iraq's parliament remains at an impasse over the elections of a new prime minister, and the hope of a unified political front is elusive. And the situation for Christians is worsening in the militant-held region. In Mosul, the black flag of ISIS flew over the central square, and for the first time in 1,600 years, public Sunday Mass was not celebrated there. The northern Iraqi city was also the site of kidnappings. 2 nuns and 3 children were abducted from an orphanage run by the sisters. They are reportedly in good condition, But across the Syrian border in Aleppo, ISIS militants crucified 9 people in the town square. This, according to Vatican-affiliated Asia News. The victims were political opponents of ISIS. And a new round of suspected Boko Haram attacks in Nigeria have left nearly 100 dead. On Tuesday, a car bomb ripped through a marketplace in northeast Nigeria, killing at least 56 people. Throughout the region on Sunday, suspected jihadists sprayed worshippers in 4 churches with gunfire and then torched the buildings. At least 30 people were killed in those attacks. Tensions and violence are escalating in Israel and Palestine after the abduction and murder of 3 Israeli teens. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Tuesday that Israel will continue to search for those responsible for the deaths of the teenagers kidnapped over 2 weeks ago. Their bodies were found in the West Bank on Monday. Israel has accused Hamas of the murders and has arrested hundreds of its members across the West Bank. Netanyahu warned that Hamas will pay. Meanwhile, Israeli police clashed with hundreds of Palestinians in East Jerusalem on Wednesday following the discovery of the body of an Arab teenager purportedly killed in retaliation. A senior Palestinian official accused Israel of committing war crimes in Palestinian territories. Palestinian officials added that Israel is using the killings as a pretext to undermine the 2-state solution and every effort being exerted to revive the peace process. St. Paul and Minneapolis Archbishop John Neinstedt confirmed this week that he has commissioned an independent investigation of alleged inappropriate sexual behavior charges against him. In a statement, Archbishop Neinstedt denied the allegations, calling them absolutely and entirely false. News of the investigation became public when a former employee of the Archdiocese told Commonweal magazine that the Archbishop was being investigated for purported immoral conduct with another priest over a decade ago. This dates back to the Archbishop's days as a priest in Detroit. In a separate statement provided to Commonweal, Archbishop Neinstedt dismissed the allegations as, quote, a personal attack against me due to my unwavering stance on issues consistent with church teaching, such as opposition to so-called same-sex marriage, end quote. And Archbishop Paul Coakley of Oklahoma City has decried plans for a Satanic Black Mass set to take place in the Oklahoma Civic Center this September. In a statement issued on Monday, the Archbishop said, "We're astonished and grieved that the Civic Center would promote as entertainment and sell tickets for an event that is very transparently a mockery of the Mass." He went on to say that the ceremony is a distortion of not just the beliefs of Catholics, but all Christians. Archbishop Coakley wants city leaders to reconsider the event. Civic Center officials say they respect the Archbishop's position, but as a public institution, they must respect the First Amendment rights of everyone, including Satanists. We'll keep you posted. Well, she stood up to the likes of Billy the Kid and became known as the fastest nun in the West. Now, her name might soon appear among the canon of saints. The Archdiocese of Santa Fe announced recently that it's begun the cause of sainthood for Sister Blandina Segali, an Italian-born nun. She was an educator and social worker in the New Mexico Territory in the 19th century. She was known for calming angry mobs in the Old West and helping open hospitals and schools. As for her encounter with Billy the Kid, the outlaw was reportedly shot during a quarrel, and local doctors refused to treat him. But Sister Blandina did, caring for him and offering the outlaw spiritual comfort. Now, soon after, Billy the Kid returned to the town to exact revenge on the 4 doctors who refused to treat him. But Sister Blandina stepped in, asking that Billy spare their lives. He agreed. Sister Blandina's cause for canonization is the first in New Mexico's 400-year history. What a story.